Hey gardeners, welcome back. I'm now sitting over in front of my seedling growing chamber. If you remember in the last video, we showed you how to take your containers, whatever you chose, 601s, individual containers, fill them with a nice moist grow medium like a Lambert's, either scatter your seeds or put individuals into cups, cover them 1/4 of an inch if they're supposed to be covered, and now they're in the seedling chamber. The seedling chamber is a special place because it's what's going to set the entire growing season ahead, whether it's going to be successful or not. This is where your plants get their start to become healthy, productive plants for you during the summer growing season. So in the chamber here, we're trying to do a number of things. We're basically trying to control the environment, which consists of, in here, the air temperature, the soil temperature, the humidity, and the intensity of the light. On your seed packets, remember how we told you how much information were on the seed packets? Every seed packet will also have a suggestion for the soil or the grow medium temperature for good germination. Generally, that will be in the 70-degree range, give or take a little bit. Some seeds like it warmer. Hot peppers particularly like a warmer soil. Some seeds like it cooler. If I have the lettuce soil temperature too high, they won't germinate at all. So check what temperature you're supposed to have your soil at. These trays are sitting on commercial heating pads. They're large heating pads. They're controlled. I can't really bring it out. It's because there's a copper wire on it. But there's a thermostat that controls the upper mat and the lower mat, and it's got a thermostatic dial on it that I can dial the temperature in whatever soil temperature I want. In addition to that, because I can get some variations in the controllability of the pads, I have a little thermometer with a probe that sticks into the soil that I can turn the thermometer on and see exactly where my soil temperature is. Right at the moment, the soil temperature in here is running about 70.1 degrees. Just about perfect for an average of what I have in the seedling chamber here. So we've got the soil temperature under control. The humidity in here, because there's moisture in the grow mix, generally will stay in that 40 or 50% range, which is good. Now we come down to the one element that is the number one, absolutely no question, the number one problem for most home growers, and that's the light that you need to supply the seedlings. Right at the moment, because they haven't germinated, even the seeds that need light to germinate don't need much light. I could probably have an incandescent bulb up here and it would supply enough light to germinate these. As soon as they start to germinate and we start having an actual plant erupt from the soil, their requirement for light increases dramatically. And this is, again, the number one problem for 99% of you growers. The way I, as a commercial grower and a commercial science consultant, measure the light intensity is with a device called a quantum meter. I'll give day-long lectures on the physics of lighting for commercial growers, but we don't really need to go through all of that here. But I will show you how we use this meter. As soon as these seedlings erupt, if we're looking at trying to get these seedlings to grow as strong, as beefy as possible for when we put them into the garden, which will then translate into the most productive and healthy plants through the summer, we need to keep them at a specific light intensity. And again, especially on commercial grow packages, seed packages, they'll actually tell you the level of light necessary for optimal production. In general, if we average things out, for seedlings that are going to be growing to the height that you or I would want to put into our garden, which will be good beefy seedlings about 6, 8, 10 inches tall, we would like to see on this quantimeter a reading of somewhere around 250 from about a week out when the plants emerge till we take them out, put them in the garden. So if I turn this quantimeter on, I take the sensor and I put it under the light right here. I'm getting about 247, 250. This is a unit called micromoles, but don't worry about that. I can supply you with plenty of info. If you're interested in the science of lighting, I can email you a file explaining how all of this relates to growing, the physics of lighting and growing. So what am I using to supply the light in these chambers? I am using a 4-foot fixture that uses 4 T5 bulbs. T5 bulbs, and I can't quite turn this for you to see them, but T5 bulbs are the thin ones that are about the size of your finger. These are T5 high output bulbs. They're not conventional in your living room, in your shop, fluorescent lights. They are T5 high output 54 watt bulbs designed for agriculture. If I had a 4-bulb, 4-foot conventional fluorescent light in here, I would only have probably half of the light intensity. So to get the light intensity that I need to grow sound, strong, optimal seedlings, I want an intensity of about 250 on the quantimeter in the seedling producing. A lot of you will go in and buy a T5 fixture with 1 bulb in it, 1 4-foot bulb. 1 4-foot bulb, instead of having a reading of around 250, will have a reading about 1/4 of that. So you'll only be around 50 or 60. Can you grow seedlings under there? Yes, but they're far from optimal. They'll probably be tall, lanky, not as strong. The tissue is more susceptible to damage and to pests. So if we're looking at you wanting to grow your optimal level, your optimal quality plant, think in terms of a 4-foot, 4-bulb, high output T5 54 watt fixture. And these are available widely. Blue Seal carries them. But in terms of your productivity, especially if you're going to grow at home in the winter, greens and herbs, this is about the baseline. A 2-bulb fixture, a 2-bulb 4-foot, will only have about half. You'll be at about 125. So again, you can grow okay, but nowhere near optimal. This is the #1 issue with 99% of growers, is not supplying enough light. In my petunia chambers, because those are a higher light intensity loving plant and I want to get them to bloom, I actually have to have the light intensity higher. So I have 8-bulb fixtures in there. So instead of being 250 on here, we're up around 450 to 500, which is what's needed by them to produce flowers. If I'm just sitting out here in the greenhouse on a day like this, I'm getting about 240 or 50 micromoles here, which is okay. But now we run into a second issue with the physics of lighting. The less intense the light, the longer the light has to stay on the plants. This is fairly complicated that we don't need to get into here, but if you're using a 4-bulb, 4-foot, 54 watt high output T5 fixture, for you to supply the 24-hour required amount of light to a seedling for it to be at its optimal level, you need to have this light on for about 18 hours. So all of these lights in all of my chambers are simply on timers that come on for 18 hours. I have them come on at night when it's coldest, so I don't have any heat in the greenhouses here. All of the heat for the seedlings is produced by the fixture. They'll come on for 18 hours overnight and turn off during the day. So lighting, lighting, lighting. If you can't supply the right intensity and duration of lighting at home, you're not going to be able to produce your optimal seedlings. In fact, one of the reasons people start their seedlings so early and put them on the windowsill is because when you're not growing under optimal light, they take longer, they stretch. I don't start my tomato seedlings until probably April 15th or April 20th, and they have to be ready and beefy and in the stores a month later. When they have the right light, the right conditions, things grow much more quickly, and they're much stronger, the tissue is stronger, they're beefier, and they're going to be a more healthy plant, a more productive plant for you as you look into the growing season. So your seedling chamber, if you can't provide this intensity and this amount of control for your seedlings this summer or for this spring growing time, then consider buying your seedlings pre-done, and then over the course of the summer or next fall setting up a seedling area that you can provide optimal conditions. Any questions that you have, Blue Seal will post on the Facebook page how you can get in touch with me. You can call me 24/7 and hopefully I can answer any questions that you might have. The next step we'll look at in the next video, once these seedlings come up, is taking these seedlings and transferring those into your final containers, your 806, your 606, or your individual pots. So until then, remember, you need to know what your plants need to grow. Stay safe. Wash your hands.